Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's pretty incredible. It's a true story from the writer Kenneth Anderson, and it's all about a really unexpected relationship, a bond that makes you rethink everything you know about family, loyalty, and love. So let's just jump right in with the big question. Can a wild animal, and we're talking about a sloth bear of all things, really, truly become a member of a human family? Well, this story has a pretty amazing answer for us. Let's see how it all got started.
Okay, so our story kicks off with a complete and total accident. Nothing about this was planned. Picture this. We're in the sugarcane fields near Mysore in India.
The author and his buddies are out there trying to drive wild pigs away from the crops, when suddenly a sloth bear wanders right into the line of fire. It's a tragic moment, but as they get closer to the fallen bear, they hear something. A tiny, whining cub, now completely orphaned and all alone. What do? Well, they couldn't just leave him there, so they scooped the little guy up and brought him all the way home to Bangalore.
And the reaction from the author's wife? It was immediate. No fear, no second thoughts, just pure delight. She puts a colored ribbon around his neck, names him Bruno, and bam! Just like that, he wasn't some wild animal they'd rescued. He was family. So, what is it actually like to raise a bear cub in your house? As you can probably imagine, it was anything but ordinary.
For starters, Bruno's diet was, well, let's call it eclectic. Sure, he ate what you'd expect, porridge and vegetables, but he also drank milk, tea, coffee, even beer. The guy literally drank and ate everything. He even accidentally lapped up some old engine oil, and get this, even some lipstick. It just gives you this amazing picture of his huge and very mischievous personality. And his personality was just massive. He was so affectionate and playful, always running into the kitchen, getting into all kinds of trouble. He'd even throw little tantrums, just like a toddler if you told him off. In those early days, he had the run of the house and would even sleep in their beds. He was, in every single way, one of them. And this just goes to show how incredibly smart he was. The family taught him tricks. If you gave the command, Bruno, wrestle, he would happily start tumbling and grappling with anyone who was game. And the best part? If you beat him, he'd flop right onto his back, paws in the air, with his mouth open in what looked for all the world like he was laughing his head off. But of course, a cute little bear cub doesn't stay small forever. As Bruno grew, the family found themselves facing a very difficult and very real problem.
And this put the family in a totally impossible position. On one hand, you have the reality of it all. Bruno was a big bear now. For everyone's safety, especially the tenants' kids, he had to be chained up. It was just becoming dangerous. But on the other hand, this was their family member, the one they loved so deeply. How could they possibly part with him?
In the end, practicality won out. The painful, awful decision was made to send Bruno to a zoo in Mysore. 87 miles. That number is so much more than just a distance. It was the gulf they were creating between themselves and their boy.
And that separation was absolutely devastating. It wasn't just saying goodbye to a pet. This was a profound loss. As the author wrote, his wife wept bitterly. She was overcome with sorrow. Just pure, unconsolable grief.
But hey, this story is called The Bond of Love for a reason. Separation and distance were no match for the connection this family had with Bruno.
For weeks, they got letters from friends, and the worst fears were confirmed. Bruno was not adjusting. He was grieving too. When the family finally visited, they found him looking thin, sad. He wasn't eating. He was just miserable.
But then came the moment of reunion. From yards away, he saw the author's wife, and everything changed. He recognized her instantly. All that sadness just vanished, replaced by a howl of pure happiness.
The scene was just incredible. He stood up on his hind legs to greet her as she ran right up to the bars. He was so overcome with joy, he even stood on his head in delight. After 3 long months, he hadn't forgotten her at all. Their connection was just as strong as ever.
That reunion made one thing crystal clear. Bruno had to come home. But how? This led to an incredibly creative and loving solution. The author's wife was relentless. She pleaded with the zoo superintendent, who, moved by their story, finally gave his official permission. They were allowed to take their bear back. So they went with a cage and brought him home for good.
But they couldn't just keep him in the house this time. So they came up with the perfect solution. They built him his own paradise. A custom island was created right there in their compound, surrounded by a deep moat for safety. He had his own shelter, his own toys, and most importantly, his human mother could now visit him every single day.
And with his new home, he got a new name, Baba. It's a Hindi term of affection, and it means a small boy. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? No matter how big he grew, to her, he would always be her small boy.
So after everything, the accidental meeting, the mischief, the heartbreak, and that joyful reunion, the author sums it all up. He writes that the bond of love between Bruno and my wife is truly remarkable. In the end, that's what this whole story is about.
So what should you take away from this? The story of Baba the bear forces us to ask, what are the limits of family? And what does it truly tell us about the nature of love? That it can cross species and overcome any obstacle to bring two souls back together. That's something to think about.